Scheduled stream, but I wanted to do it before I laid down for a while. I'm not feeling well. I have airplane ear really bad, and it is. Just gonna turn that off on my phone. Super painful, and some. I'm in Boston, and something is truly wrong with the navigation here. Apple Maps actually work better than Google here, which is very unusual for Apple Maps to work better. Google just kept putting me in circles and telling me I was 45 minutes away when I knew I was like 5 minutes away. So I finally got back to the nest of the mean bird. Those of you on Twitter will know what I'm talking about, the joke. She kindly let me use her apartment over the weekend in this totally cute historic building. I would give you a tour, but it's her apartment and I wouldn't do that, privacy reasons. But there's like this cool thing on the door that maybe I can take a picture of, like this like very vintage lock system that's not in use anymore, but it's like they called it the police eye, and it's this bracket that's in the middle of the door with a little loop in it, and you put the stick through the loop, and then there's a divot in the floor, like maybe 3 feet away, and you stick the stick down there. Like anyone who has sliding glass doors know the way you can shove a pole in the track. It's kind of like that. Okay, but I wanted to give a recap because I didn't really want to talk about this after today. And there's a lot I didn't say earlier. Now I can say. It was a nice bit of political theater, though. So, immediately after the JC hearing, I heard from multiple people that the LNC already had their pick as to who they were going to fill fraudulently my seat, because it's still my seat. I don't recognize the authority of a rogue LNC. Simply do not. But when I first heard it, I was like, no, that person has never indicated any kind of interest. Like, no. And then I heard it from multiple people. And then finally, another source told me, oh no, it's a done deal. The backroom meeting has already happened. They already got the votes. This asking for nominations and candidate statements is just a big piece of political theater. And it's John Wilford. And somebody told me that 2 weeks ago. And I'm like, no. Then I saw the nominations come in, and I'm like, okay, something I didn't think was correct. So then I started to trust that source a whole lot more because I totally didn't believe it. And they had told me the fix was already in, that, you could do what you want, but it's all just political theater. And that person at the time had also told me that he would be running in Reno. So when he put his candidate statement out in the nomination thread, I read it really carefully. And he didn't say he wasn't running, but he certainly gave the impression he wasn't running. It was very cagey, I thought, knowing what I knew. I haven't spoken to Dustin Nana, so I can't speak for him. But Dustin Nana pinned him down on that because I think he probably found that a little cagey too. And oh, yes, Mr. John Wilford is running. So what my source told me was absolutely correct. They wanted to give somebody, because they're scared of me winning in Reno, an incumbent advantage. You already know how I feel about that. That's why I voted Whitney last, because nobody should fill a vacancy appointed by the LNC that's going to be rerunning unless it's giving the incumbent back their seat. Nice bit of political theater. You thought the shady backroom stuff was over. It's not over. Now, my honest opinion, do I think John knows how much he's being played? No. I don't think he realizes that he's just a pawn because they're scared that I was going to win. They wanted to give someone the incumbent advantage. Dirty, dirty pool. But I don't blame John because I don't really think he's in on the whole plan. To be honest with you, I just don't. My instinct could be wrong. I give people too much the benefit of the doubt. He's always seemed like a nice guy. The rest of them, no. So my source was absolutely correct. Now, do you see the links? I just cannot believe that the National LP is this dirty. I mean, I can believe it. And I walked into today pretty much knowing what was going to happen, but I had to play my part just in case my source was wrong. I wanted to be wrong. So I extended the same peace offer I did before, and the LNC had the choice before them as to how Reno was going to be, whether it was going to be divided or whether they would be able to shock the party by showing an example of respecting the will of the delegates and moving forward in disagreement. But they couldn't do it. The pettiness has no bounds. Dirty. Whether or not I am reelected in Reno, and I will make every attempt to win cleanly because I don't do this Machiavellian bullshit. Everyone who voted John on the first round, they need to go. Simple as that. This is shady backroom crap. And again, no aspersions on John, because I honestly don't believe he knew the extent of it. I honestly believe he thought he was competing. I will say one thing, though, and I will extract out this clip now, because this is a contender, and it's probably the only negative thing I will say about John, because it's important. Remember, he's the guy who mocked me over due process. And I will pull out that clip in a show. But he mocked me, saying, it's not like you're losing your job or money or anything. Really? Isn't it, John? Well, remember, and I'm mentioning his name now, not to throw shade. I'm just mentioning facts now. Remember, Richard Longstreth was very upset because he said that my protesting his vindictive removal motion against me was affecting his job. And some of you guys may remember it. I should try to find the clip where I came on here and said, if any of you guys are like calling his job or anything, F off. You don't do things like that. You don't affect people's jobs. So, Mr. John Wilford, when you mocked me, you have affected my job. Not the job here, not my volunteer work. I have a Wikipedia page. I've been looking for a job for 6 months. What's the first thing your employers do? They Google you. And I have to explain how I was unjustly removed because it's in the first paragraph. So wake up to the real world, John, when you mocked me and said this has no real life impacts. And you too, Mr. Longstreth, you didn't like your job being impacted. How do you think I like mine? I don't. And I told people not to do that to you. But that's what you did, John, and you mocked me. Now, fortunately, I have found a job because I've got a fantastic boss who loves pink hair and totally understood the whistleblowing angle and was proud to employ a whistleblower. But you know, most employers don't get past stuff like that. So yeah, you guys have cost me jobs with your petty little games because you just couldn't take who the delegates picked. Just bad people. Just bad people. And John, that's who you're being played by. The only complaint I have against you is what you said at that meeting, the way you mocked me. I hope to God one day you're not involved in something that's very important to you and someone mocks you. You owe me a huge apology for that. And I hope you see this because you owe me a huge apology for that. How dare you mock due process? It doesn't matter what's at stake. Libertarians honor due process. You don't get to judge what's important to me, and I don't get to judge what's important to you. It doesn't just have to be a criminal thing. or something where you lose money, which I ended up doing, by the way, to be valid for due process. But my next show now that I've held off on, because I wanted to play my part in this political theater before I let loose, because I am sick and tired of them claiming political criticism is fraud. And my next show is going to be the LNC committed fraud. And I'll tell you exactly how. And it's nothing super juicy. I'm just turning the tables on them. I don't have proof of something you don't already know. I'm just giving you a different angle on my removal on how that was actually fraud. Not mean words, not criticism, how they actually committed fraud on, I'm going to have to count the number of people. Dirty. Y'all need to go. And again, whether I'm back on or not is irrelevant to the fact that y'all need to go. Now, there are some good ones. The 6 people who voted for me on the first round or voted for anyone other, well, they might have liked John. So it's hard to say which ones because I wasn't given specific names as to who was in on the shady deal. But I can guess. I mean, we can all guess. There's certain ones we know. So we'll have to wait till we see the ballots. And ones that we don't know, I'm going to ask you to give them the benefit of the doubt that they just liked him. But the ones that we know, no benefit of the doubt. None. I was hoping my source was wrong. I was hoping that dirtiness wasn't still going on. There is no room for this kind of Machiavellian dirtiness in the party of human liberty. And it is my joy to expose you. And if you thought I was just going to merely go away quietly, you don't know me. I'm going to continue to do my job until the delegates, not you, in your powerful little positions, tell me I don't have it. Because I was elected by a majority on the first round, and most of those people are still very much in support of me. And people who told me they voted against me after they seen this crap, they're now for me. Dirty, dirty, dirty. The Reno reset can't come too soon. But you notice what they avoided answering in my public comment this morning? Convention contingencies, because you want to know what those bastards are counting on? They are counting on COVID restrictions to change the makeup of this committee so that they maintain control. By they, I don't mean necessarily the exact same people. Like, for instance, Laura Epke says she's not rerunning. I don't believe it, but she says she's not rerunning. But you know the brokers behind the faces can change, but you know the contingent that I'm talking about. Nick Sarwark. Did I say that out loud? As I said, I've got a lot of endurance. And it can take a while, but I'll remain standing. Because Mama don't go away. Mama don't go quietly away. You had a way you had a way to turn your ship around and show such a tremendous example, and you went for the dirtiness instead. It would have changed my opinion of worst LNC ever, but by far, my God, the worst LNC ever. Oof. And if I look like super in pain, it's not from what happened today. I expected it. I've got the airplane ear bad, and I'm really worried about getting back on a plane tomorrow. So that's why I left. I didn't leave because of this. I was like holding on to be able to do my little speech, and then I already knew I was going to go no matter what happened because I need to put eardrops in my ear and lay down. I might do, before the Mises Bash tonight, a little recap of some things that happened at the meeting, just some commentary on some business, which is, that's not dirty stuff. That's just differences of opinion and things like that. Oh, but something else I wanted to tell you about the pettiness. That 5.5 hour abortion of an LNC meeting on November 21st. I think things would have went differently if I were there, because I could have refuted the bull crap that Will McVeigh did everything by the rules that a few people were saying. And they honestly believed it because they just didn't know Roberts well enough. And so when Susan Hogarth put forth her new motion, I wrote to her kindly. I could even pull up the email to show you. There was nothing obnoxious about it. And I offered to ghostwrite for her a little cheat sheet that she could use in debate to refute that point. And you know, she just simply ignored the email. What's more important, helping Delaware, a state you allegedly represent, Susan, or being petty? If I was battling for an affiliate, I wouldn't care if Satan himself offered me help. I would take it. But this is the petty bullshit. It's like say no thanks, she just ignored it. So Delaware, while I hope the LNC does right by you, which is why I didn't say any of my opinions in public comment, I don't want them taking out anger at me on you. While Susan might be on the right side of this argument, and she is, she doesn't have your best interest at heart when she couldn't take help. It's so pathetic. It is just so pathetic. Like, I wish I could be surprised. And if you're on Facebook, you see I tagged Tyler Smith, who's been running against me for a while. No resentment, no shade, nothing like that. I had a long talk with him on the phone the other day when he put his name in for this, and I told him that I felt personally hurt by him doing that because he agrees I was removed wrongly. Then to try to get the seat is kind of, but his heart's in the right place. No bad motives on his part. I just think he misread the situation. But I said, Tyler, you're just going to take a reputation stain for no advantage because the fix is in. And I told him everything I'm telling you guys now. And he's like, oh, really? So I tagged him today and said, told ya. And he's like, you know, you're right. And there's some other things I told him that I'm just not willing to discuss publicly right now. And I said, and Tyler, everything else I told you is true too. So, this is their play. This is I don't even think you could call it Prague anymore, but this is the Prague candidate that they're putting up because they're scared of little old me. And I told Tyler this honestly too. They're hoping Tyler and I split the more radical vote and just John will get in. And it might happen. I ain't dropping out. I wouldn't drop out for the world. But this is the LNC you have, people. But I've got some commentary on business today. But now I'm going to lay down. And I do need to, though, prepare for how the LNC committed fraud. And again, if you didn't hear what I meant by that earlier, because it sounds a little bit more salacious than it is, I'm just turning the tables. Again, there's no new revelations, let's put it that way. And you want to know also some proof here of how the fix was in. Listen, Whitney did not want me back on that board, but she didn't vote. Why? Because she already knew. She already knew. She would have voted if she thought there was any chance. Trust me on that one. So I could tell you, this source, if you're watching, I'm going to believe you next time because I did not believe you. But watch out for convention funny business because that's what's coming. Guarantee it. That is what's coming. Be on the lookout. Watch them like a hawk because they're going to do whatever they can to keep people, mostly Mises people, but there's plenty of non-Mises people who are sympathetic to my cause and causes like people like me who don't believe we're supposed to be bureaucrats, but that we're supposed to make the Libertarian Party defiant again. They do not want those people showing up at convention. And that means most people who watch my show fall into that, and that means you. So watch out. Watch out. Just keep your ear to the ground. I'm going to take a look at comments before I lay down. O'Donnell, they don't want to give it to Tyler because Tyler's a radical. They don't want a radical. So they fished around for their useful tool. And I'm sorry, John, I think you're just being used as a tool. And somebody they thought could run and cause Tyler and I to split the vote. They weren't going to give it to Tyler. I don't even think Tyler got one vote. He didn't get any first round votes. I don't even know if he got any second round votes. And that's not an indictment on Tyler. That's no shade on Tyler. It's just he isn't part of this plan right now. Where Tyler comes into the plan is to try to take votes away from me. That's when he comes into the plan. Because historically speaking, if a more radical candidate is going to win, they have to win on the first round. And they are hoping Tyler will keep me from winning on the first round. And then they can walk their guy in. There are people I told all this to last week because I wanted to tell somebody so that people wouldn't say to me after the fact, oh, you're just saying you knew that. Tyler knows I know it because I've had this whole conversation with him. I've got witnesses that I knew this. I knew this. And I was hoping it wasn't true. I was hoping the dirty shit was behind us. But it's not. And we all know who it's being powered by. It's a small group that's influencing the rest of them. And we all know who they are. I don't need to name names. We know. I've named their names before. So, now that this bit of political theater is over, what are my future plans? My future plans are to continue doing my job the way I have been to the extent I can be without all of the resources I would have if, the rogue LNC didn't fraudulently remove me. I am still doing minutes. I prepared the OneNote folder. I am still writing manuals because I serve the delegates. And I can tell you, they are like shocked I'm taking this stance, and they're trying to mock this stance because they didn't expect it. I don't know how anyone who knew me wouldn't expect it, but you know what rankles authoritarians the most when you just go, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to continue doing what I want to do. I half expected a letter from Oliver Hall saying you need to stop calling yourself the LNC secretary in exile. Go ahead, try it. I will laugh. Go ahead, because I'm not stopping. I'm going to call myself what I damn well wish, because that's what the delegates elected me for. And guess what? The delegates are superior to the LNC. And if the delegates in Reno choose not to reelect me, I am fine with that. I respect that. But I can tell you one thing for damn sure, and anyone who tries to fool themselves is lying through their teeth. I'm the secretary now, Ms. Prepper. I've always been. Oh, who's the fraudulent replacement? John Wilford. But he's not the secretary. I am. And I will be until Reno, because they don't have that authority. And anyone on the LNC who says, oh, no, we do. The delegates gave us that authority in the bylaws. You are lying through your teeth, and you know it. You know that provision in the bylaws wasn't meant for a majority voice to gang up on a minority dissident for political criticism. I mean, just say that out loud. Yes, hundreds of libertarians at convention wanted to give the LNC power to silence criticism. Does that sound like a bunch of libertarians to you? No, that is not what they meant. and taking advantage of the fact that they didn't feel the need to have to spell that out, you're just a liar. They meant that provision for a very valid reason. If, say, the classic example is a treasurer embezzling money. But it could also be an officer refusing to perform their duties, like if I refuse to do minutes or something. Or like a chair deleting emails that they haven't even censored yet. They haven't even censored JBH yet, or Nick Sarwark for his very indecorous comment about consuming a male body part. But my political criticism was just too much. Well, it's not going to stop. All you've done is amplify my voice. That's really all you have done. I'm not going anywhere. You just motivated me more. And I leave it to the delegates to decide. But I wanted you to know, Delaware, Susan's on the right thing, but she doesn't have your best interest at heart when she won't take help from someone who can help her and didn't even want any kind of public credit for it. You know, I was willing to write her a cheat sheet. I sure hope that Delaware Motion's not being heard today because I really want to be there for that. But I'm going to leave the live stream on here as I'm laying down so I can listen to it. No, Tim was the secretary pro tem. He's the treasurer. He couldn't. Well, technically, he could have been both roles. There's precedent for that. Aaron Starr was a regional alternate and the treasurer at one time, at one point on the LNC. You can occupy 2 seats. They wanted to give someone a false incumbent advantage. And I don't think John realizes, because he said something that made me realize, oh, you poor, sweet summer child, where he said, well, and this is how I know he wasn't in on the fix too, because he was completely genuine when he said this. You all might think I'm just being naive, or I don't think he was in on it. I really don't. When Dustin, I think it was Dustin, asked him, are you still going to run in Reno if you don't win today? And he goes, well, if the LNC doesn't want me, I'm going to take that as a sign. He really believes the LNC is the will of the party. It's the delegates, my sweet summer child. So I really honestly don't believe he knew it was fixed. He's someone they think they can control. Yeah, he did fight to occupy 2 seats on the platform committee. And that's how I learned he once occupied, Justin O'Donnell mentioned Aaron Starr. That's how I learned about him occupying 2 seats on the LNC. And if you remember, I ruled against him on that, and my ruling was overturned. And not mad about that at all. That's just the way things work. I'm proud of the written opinion I did on that I'm willing to send to anybody to read. But it wasn't that he wanted to occupy 2 seats. It was that he wanted to choose which hat he was wearing depending upon what would be more advantageous. It was a weird situation on the platform committee. But the committee decided to overrule me, and that's fine. You know, that's what happens. You get overruled sometimes when you're chair. So when people say to me, like, why should I even still give money to National? Why should I even still have hope? Reno. And listen, when you don't donate to the National Party, I've been saying this from day one, when you don't donate to the National Party, you are not hurting the LNC. You are hurting other members like you. Please, please don't stop your donations over things like this. Honestly, if you are ever at a point where you feel like you just can't donate, let me just speak for myself. If I ever felt I was at a point where I couldn't continue to support the National Party, who it does roll down to the affiliates. It does. You only hurt other members when you don't give. I'd just leave the party if I really got at that point. Because you're only hurting other members when you don't donate. So please, don't make me or what's happened with me the reason, because I'm begging you, don't stop donating. And if you feel in your conscience you can't just donate because it'll go to the general fund, then earmark it. 2 causes which are very worthy. Well, 3. The ballot access stuff, the Frontier Project, and the Historical Committee. So if you don't feel like you can just give it to the general fund, I get it. I earmark all my donations. But don't stop donating. This has been my constant refrain, and where I feel like I'm walking a fine line, because I don't want to hurt members by complaining and bringing to light, but it will hurt members if I don't complain and bring to light. So I feel like sometimes I'm in a catch-22 here. Have hope for Reno. Now, if things go really shitty in Reno or they fix the convention, I don't know what to say. I can't tell you what to do then. But I have hope. I just have to believe things are going to change in Reno, or I would just be completely desolate for the future of this party. I just have to believe things are going to change in Reno. And again, me believing things change for the better doesn't require me being reelected. I want to be, but like I don't think so highly of myself that says it all depends on me. No. One reason I want to get reelected is because I want to clear that stain on my job reputation, John Wilford, when you mocked me, so that employers will see I was vindicated by my own party. Because right now, when it just says you were removed, they're looking at you like, did you steal? Like, you know? You guys are just awful, awful people for doing that to me. And I will continue to criticize you. And by amplifying my voice, welcome to the Streisand effect, baby. Welcome to the Streisand effect. Don't be surprised if I get invited on a national TV show to discuss this. I'm not saying I've been invited. I'm also not saying I've been invited. I'm just saying don't be surprised. And I will have the same message I have now. Have hope in the party. Be like libertarians are about this country. I love my country. I hate my government. Right now, I love the Libertarian Party as much as I ever have. But I hate the LNC, and that doesn't include everybody, because obviously there are superstars. Eric Rodsup, Stephen Nikela. I hate Rich Bowen. I hate rattling out names because I know I'm going to forget anyone. You all know the good guys. I'm not talking about them. If they want their seats back, hand it to them in a silver platter, because them guys sticking it through all of this, and I know some of them have wanted to quit. So please reward them. But I'm going to expose this shit. I am not going to sit idly by when we act like the 2 old parties. And I don't do this to harm the party. I do this to make the party healthy. The LNC is not the party. The LNC can go down in flames. And I'd roast a marshmallow over it, but not the party. The LNC isn't the party. You are the party. Check out some comments again. I thought I was done. God, I'm in pain. Oh, wow. Yeah, O'Donnell, thank you for voting for my ruling. I thought was very well reasoned, but I didn't have the votes. I'm talking about platform committee. Yes, Dave Davis, the show is live. Wow, I didn't know that. So if I ever wanted to become an insurance adjuster or some kind of insurance salesman, I couldn't do that now because the LNC was ass mad. Richard Longstreth, I respected when you said my criticism was affecting your job and I told people to go F themselves if they were contacting your work. But you just did the same to me. Thank you. No good deed. Well, I don't know that you voted for John. To be honest with you, I don't know. I don't know who was definitely in on it. I meant what happened in September. Tyler, what I said is I believe in three consecutive terms is enough for any person in any one seat without a break. So yes, if I win in Reno, it will be my last term as secretary consecutive. That doesn't mean I won't run again in the future after a break. It doesn't mean I wouldn't run for a different position, but I believe the party is healthier. We have new, fresh ideas. We have more qualified people trained. When one person doesn't just park their seat in the seat, as it were, like Tim Hagen, he's been treasurer too long. And it's not shade against Tim Hagen, but it's enough already. Like, no. And I think my proposal of 3 consecutive terms in any one seat and come back later if you want is perfectly reasonable. And I couldn't even get that past the bylaws committee when I was on the bylaws committee. We need term limits. So I practice what I preach, and I will voluntarily do what I want to be in the bylaws. And I know some people say, oh, but now then the good people are punishing themselves. No, it's not a punishment. It's better for the party. It's healthier for the party not to have somebody in for 4 terms, 5 terms. No, let somebody new get in there. Because listen, Alicia is one of the best secretaries I ever worked with. She's a shit judicial committee person, but she is a fantastic secretary. But even she, when I took the job, there were obvious things that could be improved that you just don't see it when you're in a position for too long. And she didn't see it. And I changed those things. And if I'm reelected, after my 3rd term, the next person to come in, they'll see things that I became blind to. So that's for the good of the party that I will model what I believe in, but I always model what I believe in. I believe in swallowing a little pride for the good of the party, and I've done it twice. And the LNC both times couldn't reciprocate. And I didn't do this to prove a political point, but a political point has been proven. One side here has been willing and has come forward willing to work, and the other side hasn't. Because they are about the politics of personal destruction, but they will not destroy me. I guarantee you bitches, when it comes to you and me, I will be the last woman standing. Guarantee it. Because I have weaponized autism, and I'll put my weaponized autism against your petty Machiavellian bullshit any day of the week and twice on Wednesday. It could take me 20 years, but I guarantee you, I will still be here when you're long gone. Count on it. Dave, we've got plenty of people who will serve if they thought they had a chance at winning. When you get an incumbent in there for whatever, it becomes fossilized. Tim Hagen didn't even have a challenger last time. And it isn't because Tim, like, nobody else is qualified. Now, Tim's a good treasurer. But there's plenty of other people qualified. Hell, not that I would want him in the position, but Richard Longstreth is qualified. Rich Bowen is qualified. Todd Hagopian, who is running against him and who I am completely behind, is qualified. Tim's just an accountant. We have plenty of accountants in this party. It's time for someone else to do that. And again, this isn't about Tim. This is about term limits. And he just happens to be the longest seated person on there. Nobody should ever run unopposed in the 3rd largest political party in the country. Now, I realize there's not going to be a lot of people competing for both secretary and treasurer, which are specialized skills, but never unopposed. That's crazy. And so O'Donnell says Nick is on a warpath. Of course he's going to try to attack Todd because Todd's got a chance at beating Tim. And speaking of Todd, when it comes to the budget passed today, I'm not commenting on it. I'm going to invite Todd on the show, and we're going to talk about it together because I want to hear his opinions on the budget. I'm only going to say one thing about the budget, and that's going to be probably tonight. but I'm not going to analyze the budget. I want to do that with Todd because I want to expose my viewership to Todd, so that they feel confident voting for him, that they see he's qualified. So I won't be discussing that. Um, if they get to the Delaware motion today, I will be discussing that a little bit, depending upon what they do and what they say. Because sorry, I was yawning a bit too. I have some concerns about that motion, but you know what? I'm not expressing any of them because Will McVeigh is a sly little bastard, and I am not going to criticize something and give him ammunition. I'm just going to zip it because he screwed over that party and it needs to be made right. I'll analyze my issues, if I still have any, after it's amended and passed after the convention, because I will not be a tool for the enemy. And right now, Will McVeigh is the enemy of the Libertarian Party of Delaware. He's not my enemy. I've been friends with Will a long time. I have nothing personally against him. Really, I don't. Not at all. Especially since I learned other things are going on in his life that explain this a little bit, that maybe some of us would have more sympathy for if it was widely known, and I'm not going to spill it because it's not mine to spill. All I say is we never know what's going on in someone's personal life, and that should remind you maybe to grant a little grace. But he's an enemy of the Libertarian Party of Delaware, and I'm on the side of the Libertarian Party of Delaware. Okay, I really gotta Oh, Tyler, you're waiting for me to tell them I'm still. In a way, I did because I distributed the OneNote, and in the OneNote, I say it over and over. But one thing you guys will know is at meetings, they never accuse me of being unprofessional at meetings because I'm not. I actually hold um, meetings in very, very high regard. You'll notice I don't go to meetings in jeans and a t-shirt. I wear my best. Even when I'm not on the board, I wear my best. I dress up. I dress up for the LPCO meetings. Go watch the videos. You'll see. Well, now I come from work, so I'm in professional dress. But even when I wasn't working, I got my ass in a suit every time. Watch any Zoom meeting where people come looking like slobs. I'm in a suit. So yeah, no, I wouldn't have done that at the meeting, Tyler, because I just don't behave like that in meetings. Sometimes I get a little too rambunctious in LPCO meetings because those are like really personal friends. I watched the last meeting and I wasn't feeling well, and I let loose a few F-bombs, and I was embarrassed. Yeah, I don't do, and it wasn't in anger. It was just me talking because I've got a potty mouth. But, you know, now I'm going to be cautious of that because I treat meetings very, very professionally. And no one, Justin, nobody else has to believe in dress codes, but it's just me. It's my conviction. It's my conviction that for me, no judgment on anyone else, but for me, when I come dressed professionally and act professionally in a meeting, I feel like the LP deserves my best, and that's my best. That's just my hang up. Bill, thank you for wanting to take back the party here in PA. Your PA chair refuses even to take educational materials from me because it's tainted, I guess, because I'm unofficial. I just don't get the pettiness. There is some petty people in this party. So yeah, Tyler, I'll just continue to say it on social media. I don't care what you do, bitches. I'm still the secretary. I know it hurts your butt. I know it gets you right in the butthole that the delegates picked me, but they did. And my duty is to them. And you abused the bylaws. Funny. I think of someone else whose name is Will McVeigh that abused bylaws too. No wonder you couldn't see fit. What's that joke? It's like, why didn't the shark bite the lawyer? Professional courtesy. Oh God. Okay, guys. I'm really just running on fumes now. Need to get the eardrops in the ear, eat something, and lay down for a while. If you guys are in Boston, I'd love to see you at the Mises Batch. Batch, did I say? Bash. Justin, I hope I will see you there, and hopefully I'll be feeling better. Um, so that's it for now. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. I didn't want to have to do this expose, but here we are. I appreciate you guys. I couldn't have gotten through this without supporters like you. I am so grateful. I can't even tell you. Okay, everyone. Before I start bawling, I'm going to get going. Now I'm on this little tiny little MacBook Air, and I'm trying to figure out where the end button is. Here it is. Okay. Bye-bye. And I know my nails look skank. I didn't have time to put on my nails. Don't judge. Don't judge me. Bye-bye.